As we've just heard, the Treasurer wants to increase the stock of housing available for these low-income earners. A small number of rentals in Australia are already set aside as affordable housing, where tenants pay no more than 30% of their income on rent. But demand far exceeds the existing schemes, and there are major impediments to rolling it out on a bigger scale, as Julia Holman reports.
House keys, check. Meet ball.
Oh, check.
Sunnies, let's go. We love living in Sydney. We know it's unaffordable. There's so much happening around here. Green Square is amazing. We've got different parks, and we're looking forward to the future because we're going to get an aquatic centre built around the corner, a town centre across the road as well, so it's going to be massive. It's going to be amazing to be here.
Anna-Marie Phillips lives in the heart of Sydney, one of the most desirable and expensive locations in the country. As a public servant earning less than the average wage, the only way she can afford to rent her two-bedroom apartment is with a big discount.
So I'm paying currently $429 to live here a week, and I guess market value you're looking at about $650.
So that's about $200 saving a week?
Yeah, yes.
And would you be able to afford to pay $650 a week?
No, I wouldn't be able to afford $650 a week.
The 100 apartments in this complex have been set aside for people like Anna-Marie, low-income earners who don't own a home and who work within the boundaries of the City of Sydney Council. Residents pay a maximum of 30% of their wage as rent.
This development behind us is affordable rentable houses for key workers, and we want to ensure that we have adequate affordable housing for key workers in the city. By 2030 there'll be 60,000 people living here.
Sydney's Lord Mayor Clover Moore successfully lobbied the New South Wales government to introduce a levy on new housing development in parts of the city to pay for 1,300 subsidised apartments.
It's absolutely critical that we have the people who run the city are able to access the city. You know, we're talking about essential workers, whether they're police officers or teachers or nurses or emergency workers.
We'll go and sit down actually, shall we?
Sure.
Anna-Marie and her son Levi were living in a share house when she found out about the affordable rental scheme.
So I stumbled across it. I was Googling, thinking, there's got to be somewhere cheaper to live. I can't keep house sharing, so I just was Google searching, and I found the City West Housing website, and I put an application through.
Where were you living before you came here?
We're actually living in Redfern down at Cleveland Street. It's quite a busy environment down there. Rats downstairs.
And so in front of us we're going to have this will become beautiful parkland.
Despite success stories like these, Clover Moore would like to see many more affordable units set aside.
We only have 1% at the moment, and we factor in that we're going to need at least 7% of housing for key workers. There is an acknowledgement across the country that we're not housing our community, and we're not housing our community adequately, and it's becoming crisis.
Half a world away, in an even more expensive city, affordable housing is far more common.
London wouldn't be the city that it is now if there was no affordable housing. We wouldn't have enough homes available for all the different types of people that we need to keep the city running, to keep the city economically viable, but also to keep the culture and the diversity that we enjoy here.
London's mayor wants 50% of all new developments to be reserved for low-income earners.
So here in King's Cross, which is right in the centre of London, a one-bed flat could go for about £1,500 or £1,600 per month rented, whereas an affordable apartment for the same size would be about £600 a month. So it's a significant difference.
Where only about 1 to 2% of new homes are being produced as affordable rental.
Professor Nicole Gurran is an urban planning expert. She argues that Australia lags behind other countries in tackling the issue of affordable housing.
We need to make sure that when we plan for new homes and when we invest in urban renewal areas, that we're making sure that 10 to 15%, and on government sites 30% of the new homes built in those areas are set aside.
While South Australia and the ACT are setting aside up to 20% of all new development for low-income earners, Professor Gurran believes all states and territories must do the same.
A mandatory target is overdue in the same way that we require parks and roads to be set aside when we plan for new communities, that we also set aside development opportunities for affordable homes as well.
We own this house, all of these houses around here.
Yep.
These two are still occupied.
Frustrated by a lack of government action, some communities are taking matters into their own hands.
The vision for the cul-de-sac was to have affordable housing, 32 units built, one-bedroom units, all very well finished, all modern conveniences that would rent for in the vicinity of $380 each, and that they would be pitched solely at what we call key workers, who fundamentally are priced out of the current housing market. Even those people objecting, 80% of them are members of our club.
Here in Sydney South, the Tradies Club has grand plans to convert 10 homes into affordable rental townhouses. They also want to build a childcare centre. But after furious backlash from nearby residents, the club has withdrawn its plans.
There seemed to be some kind of confusion with social housing. We were going to put drug addicts or people recently released from prison or various and sundry ne'er-do-wells into this housing that would become a slum for itinerant workers. It's just a tremendous loss to everyone concerned. I think a loss to the neighbourhood as well.
Should we go outside and have a look at the balcony?
In this newly developed suburb, there were no neighbours to object. Anna-Marie Phillips is grateful for her reduced rent, but she believes that opportunity should be much more widely available.
Yeah, I feel very lucky to be in a situation that Levi and I are in. There should be a lot more throughout Australia, yes, definitely. How many cranes are out there?
How long do you plan on staying here for?
Until I win the lotto, or, so we've got it until our circumstances change, basically. So until then, it's ours.
The G7 group of nations will meet in Italy overnight our time, where what to do about Syria will be top of the agenda. The United States